Welcome to the In Sync Now, bringing you the latest news from around the world. In the South China Sea, a new line has been drawn, this time in concrete and steel. The U.S. has built a military-grade runway on Balabac Island, right at the mouth of the South China Sea. It's more than infrastructure, it's a message to Beijing. This runway lets the U.S. project power deep into contested waters. The world is watching. The chessboard has a new piece. Now, it's China's move. Officially named the Balakatan Airfield, this project sits on Balabac Island, the southernmost tip of Palawan. Built by U.S. Seabees and the Philippine military, the 3,000-meter runway can handle everything from C-17 transports to F-35 fighters. Its location is no accident, overlooking the Balabac Strait and just minutes by air from the disputed Spratly Islands. The airfield extends America's operational reach into the heart of the South China Sea. Costing $82 million funded by the U.S., the project was completed ahead of schedule. Philippine officials emphasize sovereignty, but the military purpose is clear. Reinforced revetments, fuel storage, and advanced communications. The runway is designed for sustained operations in a contested environment. U.S. statements highlight disaster response and training, but the subtext is unmistakable. This is a permanent foothold. The airfield is a symbol of the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty in action. It enhances interoperability and signals a long-term American commitment. The U.S. is no longer just passing through the South China Sea, it's building on its shores. The Balakatan Airfield is a game-changer for regional security. It's a launchpad for rapid response and persistent surveillance. The message to Beijing: the U.S. is ready to defend its interests. For the Philippines, it's a guarantee of support in uncertain times. The runway is both shield and sword in the evolving contest for the South China Sea. It's a new chapter in alliance cooperation. The concrete speaks louder than words. The U.S.-Philippines alliance, anchored by the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, is one of America's oldest in Asia. After a period of cool relations, the South China Sea's realities have brought the two nations closer. Joint military exercises have surged, with the annual Balakatan drills now larger and more complex than ever. In 2024, over 17,000 troops participated, shifting focus from counterterrorism to external defense. The Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA, is the legal backbone for projects like the Balabac runway. Recent years saw the U.S. gain access to 9 Philippine bases, including Balabac, and sites near Taiwan. This distributed posture makes U.S. forces more resilient and responsive. U.S. military assistance has topped $1.1 billion since 2015, providing ships, aircraft, and advanced training. The goal: empower the Philippines as a capable security partner. The Balabac runway is the most visible sign of this revitalized alliance. It's not just about hardware, it's about trust and shared strategy. The partnership is now at the forefront of great power competition. The U.S. and Philippines are sending a clear message. They stand together. The alliance is no longer just a treaty on paper, it's a living, evolving force. The runway is proof of commitment in concrete form. As tensions rise, this cooperation is more vital than ever. The bedrock of the alliance is stronger than it's been in decades. China's response to the new runway was immediate and fierce. Beijing called it a provocative act, accusing the U.S. of trying to contain China's rise. The Chinese Foreign Ministry warned that the U.S. is turning the Philippines into a forward outpost for its own agenda. State media amplified the message, labeling the runway America's runway to war. Editorials claim the airfield is for offensive operations, not disaster relief. The PLA vowed to take all necessary measures to defend China's sovereignty. On the ground, Chinese maritime militia and Coast Guard vessels increased patrols near Palawan. Philippine fishermen reported more aggressive Chinese behavior. PLA Air Force flights over the South China Sea have also surged, testing regional air defenses. These are classic gray zone tactics, pressure without open conflict. At the heart of China's anger is its sweeping 9-line claim, rejected by international courts but still enforced by Beijing. The U.S. runway is seen as a direct challenge to China's backyard. A senior Chinese official put it bluntly: "The Americans are building a dagger and pointing it at our throat." China's next moves will be closely watched. The risk of escalation is real. The region is entering a new, more dangerous phase. The South China Sea is a vital artery. Over a third of global shipping passes through its waters. It's rich in resources and riddled with overlapping claims. China's 9-line cuts into the exclusive economic zones of Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia, and the Philippines. The Spratly Islands, now home to Chinese military bases, are the main flashpoint. Before Balabac, U.S. forces relied on distant bases in Japan, South Korea, and Guam. Now, with Balabac, U.S. air power is minutes from the Spratlys, no refueling required. This enables a persistent presence and rapid response. China, meanwhile, has built its own network of artificial islands, bristling with runways and missiles. These unsinkable aircraft carriers let China project power across the sea. The Balabac runway is America's answer, a counter-network using allied territory. The pace of construction mirrors China's own island-building surge. It's an action-reaction cycle. As China fortifies, the US and Philippines expand EDCA sites. The map is being redrawn not by diplomats but by military engineers. The South China Sea is no longer static, it's a chessboard in motion. Every new runway or base shifts the balance. The contest is as much about geography as it is about power. The stakes control of Asia's most critical waterway. The next move could reshape the region for decades. The Balabac runway sends shockwaves across Southeast Asia. For Vietnam and Malaysia, it's a welcome counterweight to China's assertiveness. But there's anxiety too. No one wants to be caught between two giants. The risk of miscalculation rises as US and Chinese forces operate closer than ever. A minor incident could escalate quickly, drawing in the Philippines and others. For allies like Japan and Australia, the runway strengthens the US security network. It fits into a broader strategy of integrated deterrence. For ASEAN, the development exposes divisions. Some see it as necessary, others as destabilizing. The runway is a stress test for regional unity. It could embolden some, but alarm others. The region's security architecture is being reshaped in real time. The stakes are high and the margin for error is shrinking. The runway is both a shield and a flashpoint. The Balabac runway is the product of shifting military realities. China's anti-access missiles threaten large US bases in Japan and Guam. The Pentagon's answer dispersal, more, smaller, harder-to-target sites. Balabac is a model for this new strategy. Political will in both Washington and Manila aligned, creating a rare window for action. Technological advances like agile combat employment make rapid deployment from austere airfields possible. The runway can be activated quickly without a large permanent US presence. It's a template for future US operations in the Pacific. Above all, it's about deterrence, showing China the US can and will respond. China's moves in the South China Sea and pressure on Taiwan have raised the stakes. The runway is a visible signal. The US is hardening its posture. It's meant to make the cost of aggression unacceptably high. The timing is no accident. It's a calculated move in a high-stakes game. The message: the US is ready for whatever comes next. The Balabac runway marks a new phase in US-China competition. The South China Sea is now the central chessboard, with islands and airfields as the key pieces. The US is building a network of alliances: Japan, Australia, South Korea, Vietnam, the Quad, and AUKUS. The goal: collectively balance China's growing power. The runway is a critical node in this network, proof that US strategy is more than talk. China will respond. Expect more military deployments, exercises, and economic pressure. This is a classic security dilemma. Each side's moves make the other feel less secure. The risk of escalation is real and the stakes are global. Both sides must manage this competition carefully to avoid unintended conflict. The world is watching as the two giants maneuver. The next moves will define the region's future. The chessboard is set and every piece matters. The outcome is far from certain. The Balabac runway is more than concrete. It's a symbol of renewed US-Philippine resolve. It's a direct answer to China's militarization of the South China Sea. The airfield gives the US a powerful tool to project force and deter aggression. China's reaction, official condemnation, and gray zone tactics shows the depth of mistrust. For Southeast Asia, the runway is both a shield and a risk, raising the specter of great power conflict. The Indo-Pacific's geopolitics are now in sharp relief. The US and China are locked in a contest for influence and security. The chessboard has been reset and every nation is recalculating its next move. The Balakatan airfield is a statement, not a conclusion. The next chapter is unwritten and potentially more dangerous. The world waits to see if Washington and Beijing can avoid stumbling into conflict. The line in the sand is drawn. What comes next will shape the future of the region.